He asserts that we know from history that the Roman Church is the old and therefore the true church. If by old he means comparatively to all other churches the oldest, history teaches us the very opposite. And if by old he means simply reaching back to the apostolic age, history teaches us that many other churches have a distinct pedigree quite as long. In either case, oldness is no more proof that Rome is therefore the true church than that Antioch or Jerusalem or Alexandria are severally the true church. The simple fact is that Rome, without a shadow of claim, arrogating to herself exclusively the character of the Catholic Church, thence competiously pronounces, to the entire satisfaction of your unhesitating nephew, that every other religious body is evidently without. Whence he rapidly jumps to the conclusion as quite indisputable that since this church declares unhesitatingly that it is essential to salvation to be united to her communion, therefore, without a shadow of proof, we must devoutly believe the truth of such declaration. That every other religious body is evidently without the Church of Rome is a mere truism. But before we can admit your nephew's hasty conclusion that, therefore, every other religious body is without the Catholic Church of Christ, we must have proof which, so far as my own reading extends, has never yet been given, that the Catholic Church of Christ is confined within the limits of the particular Church of Rome. The Romanists, as we all know, assert this, and your nephew, apparently without a vestige of inquiry, admits their assertion and absolutely professes his resolution to act upon it. Yet I believe most sober persons doubt whether bold assertion and clear proof be precisely identical. I conclude that your nephew, if he has at all sought for proof, will fancy that he has found it in that declaration of our Lord, which the Romanists confidently interpret to mean that the church is built upon the rock of Peter and his alleged successors in the paramount bishopric of Rome. In this case, he must be ignorant that no such interpretation of our Lord's assertion occurs in any of the writers antecedently to the Council of Nicaea, nor yet, I believe, in any writer even considerably posterior to that famous council. The rock is variously understood to mean Peter's confession, or the divinity of Christ declared in that confession, or the individual Peter himself as having made such a confession, but never Peter and the succession of Roman bishops. Some such claim was first preferred by the then Roman bishop at the end of the 2nd century, but Tertullian, who mentions it only to laugh at its mingled impudence and absurdity. Accordingly, the Council of Nicaea, which sat in the year 325, when confirming the independent jurisdiction of the 4 great patriarchates, merely gives to Rome a barren precedency, and that not on the score of the Roman bishop being the inheritor of a pretended authoritative primacy of St. Peter, but purely on the secular basis of Rome being the ancient metropolis of the empire, all grounds of doubt being effectually removed by the adjudication of the 2nd place to the Patriarch of Constantinople, on the parallel basis of Constantinople being New Rome and the existing capital. Nothing, therefore, even to pretermit the stubborn fact that, according to Irenaeus, Peter never was Bishop of Rome, nothing can be more absurdly idle than the claim set up through an interested and comparatively idle gloss upon Matthew 16, 18, 19. Your nephew, by asserting that the Church of England is destitute of the notes of the true church, of course asserts also that the church which he proposes to join does possess them. He alludes, I suppose, to the 4 notes of unity, sanctity, catholicity, and apostolicity as given by Dr. Milner. Now, I will venture to say that the English Church possesses all these 4 notes in at least as high a degree as the Roman Church. If by unity he means unity within itself, the English Church is quite as much internally united as the Roman Church. As for the Tractarians, they are mere papists under a different name, dishonestly holding English preferment when they can get it with Romish doctrines. They, consequently, as not belonging legitimately to the English Church, must obviously be thrown out of the reckoning. Rome is heartily welcome to such tamperers with mammon, and the sooner the whole set go out from among us, for they are not of us, the better. This being premised, any subordinate differences among ourselves are not a jot greater than those which notoriously exist in the Roman Church. Consequently, in this sense of the word, we possess unity as much as Rome. If, on the other hand, by unity he means communion with other independent churches, England has quite as much of this sort of unity as Rome. And well she may, for Rome notoriously has no communion out of her own pale, and so far from possessing Catholic unity, she is a complete theological Ishmael, her hand against every man, and every man's hand against her. An aside here, I'm quite aware that our modern Tractarians wish us to disown all independent churches out of the realm of England which have not the privilege of being organized in precisely the same manner as ourselves, but such a view of the question was not taken by our Anglican reformers nor by the best and ablest of our subsequent divines, and we are not, I trust, to be made answerable for all the vagaries of the Tract school. As for asserting that she herself exclusively constitutes the universal church, this is a pure begging of the question. She is a member, indeed, though a woefully diseased member of the Church Universal, but to call her on that account the Catholic Church is the same as to call a diseased leg the whole body. Next comes the note of sanctity. How this note belongs specially to Rome and does not belong to England, your nephew would do well to inquire. Does he rest the claim for Rome on the abominations of the confessional, or on the principles of the Jesuits, so admirably exposed by Pascal, and now open to the whole world in the published Secreta Monita, the secret instructions to the Jesuits?